The cave's ceiling gave way with a thunderous crack, slamming me to the ground and pinning my leg beneath jagged rocks while pain exploded through my body. In the swirling dust, Blake's eyes locked onto mine with something far more dangerous than hatred as he whispered, "Stop pretending, Ryan. I know you're in love with me too." The words hung in the dim light, filtering through the cracks, heavier than the boulders that had just sealed our fate. We were supposed to be on a team-building retreat for our Denver tech company, a weekend of caving and hiking in the Rocky Mountains to build trust among the sales team. Blake Morgan and I had been at each other's throats for months over the senior account manager position. He was everything I wasn't, openly gay, confident, quick with a joke that always landed the clients. I, Ryan Ellis, played the straight arrow, the guy from a conservative Texas family who had moved to Colorado for the job, burying any confusing feelings deep down. But now, with my leg throbbing and Blake's shoulder bleeding from a cut, there was nowhere to run. "What the hell are you talking about?" I gasped, trying to push the rock off my leg, but the pain made my vision blur. The cave was small, maybe 10 feet across, the entrance blocked by fallen rocks. Our headlamps were still on, casting eerie shadows on the wet walls. Blake, lying a few feet away, clutched his arm and laughed bitterly, though it came out as a groan. "Come on, man. I've seen the way you stare when you think I'm not looking. The way you tense up when I get too close in meetings. It's not hate, it's fear. And right now, with us stuck here, you can't hide it anymore." I wanted to deny it, to yell that he was crazy, but the words stuck in my throat. The accident had happened so fast. We had lagged behind the group during the guided caving tour, arguing about who deserved the promotion more. Then the tremor, maybe from the recent rains loosening the rocks, and everything came down. The rest of the team was probably outside, calling for help, but we were trapped. Alone. And Blake's accusation was like a second rock slide, crashing through the walls I'd built around myself for years. As the hours ticked by, we worked together out of necessity. I tore my shirt to bandage Blake's arm, while he used his good hand to help prop up my leg. The pain was constant, but talking kept us from panicking. He told me about his family in California, how they accepted him when he came out at 16. It wasn't easy, but they tried. "Yours?" he asked, his voice softer now. I hesitated, the dust settling on us like a blanket. My dad back in Texas, a former military man, always talked about real men and family values. I'd dated girls in college to fit in, but the spark was never there. Blake was the first guy who made me question everything, with his easy smile and sharp wit. But admitting that? No way. The conversation turned tense when he pressed. "Ryan, we're probably going to be here a while. Rescue teams are coming, but until then, let's be real. I like you. Have for a while. The rivalry? It's because I saw the potential in you, but you push me away because you're scared of what it means." My heart raced, not just from the injury. Was he right? The way my stomach flipped when he won a big deal, was it jealousy or something else? The cave grew colder as night fell outside, and we shared the last of our water. I didn't answer him, but the seed was planted. For the first time, I couldn't run from the feelings I'd denied since the day we met. By morning, the light from the cracks had shifted, and the pain in my leg had dulled to a constant ache. Blake's arm looked better, the bleeding stopped, but we were both weak from dehydration and the shock. We had talked through the night, sharing stories to keep our minds off the darkness. He told me about his first boyfriend in college, how it felt to finally be honest with himself. It was liberating, Ryan. No more pretending to be someone I'm not for the sake of fitting in. His words hit close to home. I thought about my family back home, the holidays where my dad would ask when I was going to settle down with a nice girl. The pressure had always been there, pushing me to ignore the way my eyes lingered on guys like Blake in the office gym. As we tried to signal for help by banging on the rocks with a loose stone, the conversation deepened. Blake confessed that he had noticed my discomfort around him from day one. "You'd avoid eye contact, but then I'd catch you watching when I was presenting. It wasn't professional rivalry. It was something more." I snapped back at first, accusing him of being arrogant, but the words felt hollow. The truth was Blake's presence had always stirred something in me, a mix of admiration and confusion that I had labeled as competition. Trapped here, with no escape, The accusation forced me to look inward. What if I'd been in love with him all along, hiding behind the hate? We shared memories of the office parties, the times I had declined invitations to hang out with the team because Blake would be there. He laughed, wincing from the pain. I thought you were just a jerk. But then I saw the way you helped the new intern when no one else did. You're a good guy, Ryan. You just need to let yourself be happy. The talk turned to my childhood in Texas, the small town where being different meant being ostracized. My brother was the star athlete, straight as an arrow, and I followed suit to avoid questions. But in college at the University of Colorado, away from home, the feelings had surfaced, and I buried them deeper. By afternoon, we heard faint voices outside. The rescue team was close. But before they reached us, Blake reached over with his good hand and squeezed my shoulder. Whatever happens when we get out, don't go back to pretending. You're stronger than that. His touch sent a spark through me, one I couldn't deny anymore. As the rescuers cleared the entrance, the light flooded in, and with it, the realization that my life had changed in this cave. The accusation had stripped away my defenses, leaving me raw and exposed. The paramedics moved fast, stabilizing my leg and Blake's arm before loading us into the ambulance. At the hospital in Boulder, doctors confirmed my leg was fractured in 2 places and Blake had a deep laceration that needed stitches. Our colleagues from the team waited in the lobby, worried but relieved. My best friend at work, Sarah, hugged me tightly. We thought we lost you guys. What happened in there? I mumbled something about the rocks and the fall, avoiding Blake's eyes across the room. But he was watching me, that knowing look still there. The accusation echoed in my head, even as painkillers dulled everything else. That night in a hospital bed, alone with my thoughts, I replayed every moment. The way Blake had protected me when another rock shifted, the quiet strength in his voice when he kept me calm. My phone buzzed with texts from my dad in Texas. Heard about the accident. You okay, son? Be tough. The words felt like chains. I stared at the ceiling, the sterile lights blurring through tears I refused to let fall. Blake had seen through me in the cave. Now I had to decide if I could see myself. The next day, Blake was discharged first, his arm in a sling, but otherwise okay. He stopped by my room before leaving, sitting on the edge of the bed with a careful smile. Hey, about what I said in the cave. I wasn't trying to mess with your head. I meant it. I looked away, focusing on the forge rip. Blake, I don't know what you're talking about. We were both in pain, half delirious. He didn't push, just nodded and left his number on a scrap of paper. Call if you want to talk. Really talk. The door closed behind him, and the room felt emptier than the cave. Sarah came by later with coffee and gossip from the office. The boss is impressed you two survived. Might even fast-track that promotion for both of you. But her eyes narrowed when I mentioned Blake. You two seemed different when they pulled you out, less like enemies. I shrugged it off, blaming the trauma, but inside the walls were cracking. That evening, my sister called from Texas. She had always been the one who sensed things. Ryan, you sound different. Like something big happened. I told her about the injury, the rescue, but not the accusation. Not yet. Discharged 2 days later, I hobbled into my Denver apartment on crutches. The quiet was deafening. I replayed Blake's words on loop. The cave had stripped everything bare. No office politics, no family expectations, just 2 men facing each other. I pulled out old photos from college, the ones where I stood stiffly next to guy friends, smiling but distant. Had I always known? The thought terrified me. Work emails piled up, including one from Blake suggesting we debrief the team building gone wrong. I deleted it, then undeleted it. The accusation had exposed me, and ignoring it felt impossible now. A week later, Blake showed up at my door with takeout. Figured you might need real food after hospital slop. We ate in awkward silence at first. Then the conversation flowed back to the cave. He shared how his own coming out had cost him friends, but gained him peace. I don't want to force you, Ryan, but hiding hurts more than the truth ever could. His honesty chipped away at my resistance. By the time he left, I had admitted out loud for the first time, maybe you're right. Maybe I don't know who I am anymore. It was a start, small but seismic. Back at the office, the atmosphere had shifted. Colleagues treated us like heroes, But whispers followed whenever Blake and I were in the same room. The promotion decision loomed, and our boss paired us on a project. Ironic punishment or opportunity, I wasn't sure. Blake was professional, but his glances carried the cave's weight. One afternoon in the break room, he cornered me gently. "You haven't called. I get it, but don't shut down." I meant what I said. My heart pounded as I muttered, "It's complicated, Blake. My family." He nodded, understanding without pushing. "Take your time. I'm here." The complication hit full force when my dad announced a surprise visit to check on his injured son. He arrived from Texas, all broad shoulders and no-nonsense attitude, taking over my apartment with football on the TV. "You look pale, Ryan. That cave mess really shook you, huh?" Over dinner, he grilled me about work, girls, the future. When Blake's name came up in a work story, Dad's face tightened. "That openly gay guy? Keep your distance, son. People talk." The words landed like another rock on my chest. That night, alone in my room, I texted Blake for the first time since the hospital. "Need to talk. Cave stuff." His reply was instant. "Whenever you're ready." The talk happened the next weekend at a quiet park near my place. On crutches, I spilled everything: the denial, the family pressure, the fear of losing everything if I admitted the truth. Blake listened, then shared his own scars from early rejection. "Love isn't a weakness, Ryan. It's the strongest thing we have." We didn't kiss or anything dramatic, but sitting there as the sun set over the mountains, I felt the first real peace since the collapse. The accusation had forced the door open. Now I had to walk through it. But society wasn't done testing me. At work, a client meeting turned tense when rumors of our closeness spread. A colleague pulled me aside. "People are talking, Ryan. Be careful." The pressure built, cracking my new resolve. I pushed Blake away again, canceling our next meetup. The guilt ate at me, but fear won for now. Dad's visit stretched into 2 weeks, his presence a constant reminder of a life I was supposed to live. We hiked easy trails near Denver, my leg healing slowly, and he kept steering conversations towards settling down. One evening, after a few beers, he said, "Son, whatever happened in that cave, don't let it change you. You're a man's man." The words stung because they confirmed what I'd feared. Acceptance at home had conditions. I almost broke then, but held back. That night, I drove to Blake's apartment, crutches and all, and knocked. When he opened the door, I said, "I can't keep running, but I'm scared." He pulled me into a hug, careful of my leg. "Then don't run alone." Work turned into a battlefield. The promotion went to neither of us, company politics, but the real fight was internal. Blake and I started meeting secretly, talking late into the night about everything from childhood dreams to future fears. He helped me see that my rivalry with him had been attraction in disguise. "You challenged me because you cared," he said one evening over coffee. The understanding grew, but so did the external pressure. My sister called after Dad mentioned my moodiness. "Ryan, is there something you're not telling us?" I deflected, but the lie felt heavier than the boulders in the cave. The peak came at the company holiday party. Blake was there with friends, I with Sarah as a buffer. When our eyes met across the room, the connection was undeniable. Dad, who had extended his stay, showed up unexpectedly. He saw us talking closely and later confronted me in the parking lot. "What's going on with you and that Morgan guy? People are saying things." The argument exploded. My frustration, his disappointment. I drove home shaking, the crisis forcing a decision. The next morning, I called Blake. "I want to try. For real." His voice broke with relief. Finally, the months after that decision brought storms and sunlight. Coming out to my sister was the first step, tears and hugs, her promise to stand with me. Dad took it harder, weeks of silence followed by a gruff phone call. "I don't understand it, son, but you're still my boy." It wasn't perfect, but it was a bridge. At work, we navigated the gossip with professionalism, earning respect through results rather than rumors. The rivalry melted into partnership, both at the office and beyond. Blake and I took things slow, building on the foundation the cave had forced us to lay. Weekend drives through the Rockies, quiet dinners, honest talks about the future. The man who had once been my enemy became my anchor. One sunny afternoon back at the same mountain trail where the trip had started, We stood at the overlook, his arm around my shoulders. "Remember the cave?" he asked softly. I smiled, pulling him close. Best worst day of my life. In that embrace, under the bright Colorado sky, the fear finally faded. I had faced the accusation, the denial, the pressures, and emerged stronger, whole. The journey wasn't over, but I was no longer trapped. Love had found its way through the rubble, teaching me that sometimes the deepest wounds lead to the greatest healing. True or false? The only way to discover who we really are is by facing the person we fear most.